Right, now on the section with Peter Nardi, he talked about how you can actually use a slop shuffle, the old slop shuffle, in order to be able to do a triumph with these cards that changes the concept of the triumph and makes it more emotive. Now, I actually do a version of that as well, but I actually use a different handling. Now, this is actually based on a triumph that I first published many, many years ago on a DVD called Slim, which I later then published again on my Penguin Live from Penguin Magic. And it's based on a Troy Hooser concept with a few differences, but I'm gonna perform it for you. And you can see exactly what it looks like, and then we'll talk about how it's done. So you bring out these cards and you point out that they're motivational posters, and each one has a different emotion on them, and you have them shuffle the cards, then you have them take a card out with an emotion on it that they can relate to, maybe something that they feel that they're that type of person, or an emotion that they wish they had, more, they exhibited more. So let's say they say merry, but you don't know what the emotion is. You go, fantastic, I want you to put the emotion back into the cards, and we'll mix it up in there. And we'll just give them all a bit of a shuffle and give them a mix. Now, here's the thing, in life, we have positive emotions and negative emotions going through our head almost on a daily basis. And sometimes it gets confusing, and sometimes it gets overwhelming. And to give you an example of it getting overwhelming, I'm going to take the cards and I'm going to give them a shuffle, but a very special shuffle. I'm going to shuffle half the cards face up into half the cards face down. There's a technical term for this. It's called a mess, because we have some of the cards face down, we have some of the cards face up, and as you can see, as I push them together, they go face up into face down. Now, this is a clear visual representation of our heads on a daily basis, because as we go through life, a lot of the time our thoughts aren't clear. We're thinking upside down, back to front. Sometimes we're thinking negative thoughts, sometimes positive thoughts. And the more we think about things, the more difficult it gets to follow exactly what's going on. So all I want you to do right now is think of that positive thought, and I want you to take this deck and hold it in between your hands, and they do. And I want you to think positively, but specifically about that thought. And I want you to see if you can transfer that positive energy into the cards that you're holding in between your hands. Because here's the thing, there is such thing in the power of positivity. There is such thing as positive affirmations. There is such thing as, if you think about good things will happen. And you might believe it, you might not, but I'm going to prove to you that's the case. You see, you're thinking of that emotion so hard. I can even tell you what that emotion is. You're thinking of merry. Is that right? Yeah? You want to be merry? You feel you're a merry person? You sometimes have, like bad days and it's difficult to be merry, right? Well, if you just think positively, you can clear out all of your thoughts. You can make everything make sense. And you can do it just by thinking of that emotion that you love so much. Lift up your hands, and they do. And when you spread out the cards, they've all gone the correct way, except for one card in the middle, which is the emotion that they thought of. So, and that's the routine. It's a really nice routine. I'm going to go through how it works right now. You need the Evoke deck, obviously. And I like to have them take an emotion out. So rather than saying take a card and having them take take any card, I like them to take an emotion out that they can relate to. So let's say they go through the cards and they take out kindness. Okay. The first thing that you're going to do is have that card put back into the pack and controlled second from the top. Now, the way I do it is I just spread the cards like this. And I say, can you put the card back? And notice when I lift up the top half, the bottom card of the top section is side jog to the left, right? And that's important because you're going to have that card put back there. You then drop that card on top and you hold a break above that card just like that. So I've actually got a break above the card, above their card. And now I just cut, so I've got this break here. Half of the cards above the break I just cut to the table. Then I cut to the break, and then I cut the rest of the cards down like that. Now, you don't have to use a table. You can have them hold their hand out, or you can do your favorite control that leaves the card in the second from top position. It could be it could be, for example, the tilt that we've taught earlier on. It's totally up to you. But you've now got that kindness second from top. So now you need to peek the card, because you need to know what their emotion is. And you're going to do that with a Bowery reversal. Now, I discussed this earlier in the project, but briefly, you're going to get a break underneath the top 2 cards. And as I say, we're going to mix the cards face up and face down. You're going to do the Bowery reversal. So I'm going to start off by there's my break held with the thumb. I'm going to start off by undercutting the bottom, undercutting half the cards, turning them face up and putting them on top, then undercutting the rest of the cards, turning them face up and putting them on top, which means that I've still got 2 cards face down at the bottom card of which is there in motion. But it looks like I've just turned all the cards face up. So now I'm going to peek the card. And there's 2 ways to do it. The first way, and the way I do it, is using an all-round square up. So I've just given the cards a couple of cuts. So I square up the cards, I tilt the cards towards me so I can see kindness, and in the same action I square up like that. So in full speed it looks like this, but I just glimpse kindness. The other thing that you can do is hold the cards like this and tug up your sleeves, and I'm blatantly looking at the bottom card right now. So you can do whichever one you want to, but you look at that bottom card and remember that emotion, that's their emotion. Now you're going to get a break with your thumb above the bottom card, and you're going to kick cut half the cards over into your left hand. Now all you're going to do is bring the packets together, and you're going to transfer that break held by the thumb to the little finger over here. So you're just going to bring the cards together holding a break, and now you're going to do a move called the Tenkai optical reverse. All that's going to happen is the right hand cuts all the cards above the break and does that. The left hand does that. So the right hand does that, the left hand does that. And when you do it at the right time, it really looks like you've turned half the cards face up and half the cards face down. Now you're going to use a faro shuffle. You don't have to do a perfect faro shuffle. You could use a riffle shuffle, but the faro is nice and easy and doesn't require a table. You're just going to faro this packet here in the right hand into this packet here in the left hand, but you've got to make sure the bottom card of the right hand packet gets shuffled into this half like that, but the top card of this half ends up on top. So I do this. So if you look, you can see the top card of this pile is on top, but the bottom half, the bottom card of that half has been shuffled into this packet, right? So I just do this like that. Perfect. And I push it in about halfway, then I grab everything and I turn everything over like this. And all I'm going to do now is a really nice display by Troy Hooser. You're going to take the out-jogged cards and you're going to riffle down through them like that, and you say face down cards, and you're just going to riffle with your forefinger there to show face down cards. Now you turn everything end over end, and you take these cards and you do the same thing and you say face up cards, and they see face up cards, and it looks very fair. Now you push them together at an angle. So you're going to put your middle finger there, your thumb here, and you're going to push, and by pushing there and there, it's going to push those cards in at an angle. Now that's not a secret move, you're not hiding that, you're showing that it's an angle so that you can show one more time face up and face down cards. Now when you've done that, you square up like that. They're going to be convinced that the cards are being shuffled face up into face down. In reality, all the cards are face up except for these 2 here. Okay, now all you're going to do is you're going to cut and show that you've got some cards back to back and put them back in the same place. Then you're going to turn everything over end for end, and you're going to cut again, and you're going to show that these cards are face to face. And all I'm going to do now is get rid of this boredom card. You see, if I turn this boredom card over, then I'm done. So all I have to do, excuse me, is turn that boredom card over and cut the cards. Well, the Bowery reversal will do that in one move. So all I'm going to do is another Bowery reversal. So I get a thumb break below the top card. I undercut the bottom half of the deck, turn it over, and put it on top. And then I cut all of the cards below the break, turn them over, and put them on top. Now that is actually going to reverse one card in the middle, which is going to be their card. So now I just give them the cards, and they think they're shuffled face up into face down, right? I give them the cards, they hold them in between their hands, and I talk about the power of positivity and concentrating on making sure that you're thinking positive thoughts, and that can help make your mind clear. And I go through the whole script, and then at the end, I then say, wow, you're thinking so positively. I can even tell the positive emotion you're thinking of. You're thinking of kindness, is that right? And they say, yeah. And you go, wow, well, let's see how well you've done. And now you take the cards off them, you spread them out either in the hands or on the table, and they can see that they're all facing the right way, except for one card, which is kindness, which is the card, which is the emotion they thought of. And you've performed a really fooling, but really impressive and very emotive version of Triumph that's more than just a simple card trick, but is now a great way to illustrate the power of positivity. I love this trick, it's super fun. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to apply another classic card trick to the Evoke deck to create a completely different style of routine. And we're going to talk now about Peter Kane's Jazz Aces. And let me do a quick performance for you, because this takes Jazz Aces and makes it more than just an ace assembly. So I'm going to perform something for you guys, and I'm going to take out 4 negative emotions. Now, if I was actually doing this to a real audience, I would have them pick which negative emotions that they wanted, and I would have them decide on negative emotions they don't like, emotions that they're not really, they never want to feel these emotions. So let's say they've gone for nervous, indecision, quitting, and outrage. Now, I ask them to think about 4 positive emotions. Go through all of these and take out 4 emotions that they feel really kind of are emotions that describe how they feel or they want to feel. So let's say they go for love, they go for fearless, let's say they go for grateful, and they go for confidence. They're 4 great emotions. The rest of the cards get put aside, and I have them decide out of these 4 positive emotions which one of them they feel which one of these 4 emotions do they feel they love the most, the one that they're most excited about out of these 4 emotions. And let's say they say love, and you go, okay, interesting, we're going to try and do something. And then you take the cards and you say, look, I'm going to deal these positive emotions onto the table. 1, 2, 3, 4. But because you said love is the most important emotion, that's going to go there. And the other 3 are going to go face down here. So those 3 are going to go face down here, and these are going to go here. The important thing, and this is important, is that we keep all the negative emotions over here, and we keep the positive emotions here on the table. Now we're going to take one of the negative emotions. It doesn't matter which one, but we're going to take one of the negative emotions and put it here with love. And we're going to take the other 3 negative emotions, and we're going to put the first positive emotion here into it. So you can see there's a positive emotion going into 3 negative emotions. Now here's the thing. If you think positively, positive things can happen. You know, we don't want to think negatively, do we? We want to think positively. And sometimes it's easy to think negative, it's difficult to think positive. Focus on that really positive emotion, that love. You said that was your favorite emotion out of all 4 of them, right? I really want you to focus on love. Tell me when you're focusing, and they say they're focusing. And you go, fantastic, let's see how you've done. And now you look through here, and all of these are now negative emotions. And the reason is, over here, that first positive emotion has jumped to joy and love, signifying that if you think positively, positive things can happen. Look, I tell you what, we'll do it again. I'll take another negative emotion. Let's take this one. Doesn't really matter what it is. We'll put it right there. And in between these other 3, we're going to put this positive emotion. Now I want you to watch, and don't take your eyes off this for a second, because I want you to think of love. Think of love. Think of that emotion that you said was so important to you. Because hopefully it's done. Look, because now all of these are negative emotions, and that positive emotion has jumped over here as well. We're going to try and do it one last time. We're going to take one final negative emotion. We'll take this one here, indecision. And we'll put in between the other three negative emotions, this positive emotion, and you can do this yourself. I want you to hold these in between your hands, and I want you to think of love and tell me when you're thinking really hard, and they say, yes, now. And then you have them deal down, and as they deal down, they can see that in their hands, they only have negative emotions, and the reason is, over here, we have all 4 positive emotions, and I can't think of a better example of how to actually, the importance of thinking positively. So, this is another example of how you can take a classic card routine and you can apply it to the Evoke deck. And in this case, we've got Jazz Aces, which is basically one of the most commercial 4-ace assemblies ever. But using cards with a positive and a negative spin on them, well, you just saw, it really kind of changes the narrative. So you start off by having them take out 4 cards with negative emotions on them. And then you have them take out 4 cards with a positive emotion on them. And you have them decide which of those emotions is most important to them. And again, let's say it's love. You're going to take the negative emotions and get a break underneath the top card. You're holding them in your left hand. And your right hand is going to pick up all of these positive emotions, right? So all these positive emotions you're going to pick up, making sure that the one that they thought of, love, is at the bottom, okay? And you're just going to put them here onto the packet, and you're going to do a simple add-on. So you're going to lift up all of the cards above the break, so you're taking that negative emotion with you. Your thumb is going to pull off the first one, and you're going to flip it over. Your thumb is going to pull off the second one, and you're going to flip it over. Your thumb is going to pull off the third one, and you're going to flip it over. That leaves you with a double here. You put the double on top, and then you just flip over that final positive emotion. Now you're going to take that card off, show it as love, and put it there in front of you. And the other 3 are going to be dealt onto the table, going from left to right. Now, unbeknownst to the audience, you've rung a negative emotion in here. And over here, where they think there's 4 positive emotions, there's actually 1 positive in amongst the 3 negatives. Now, all you're going to do is you're going to displace this top card into the second from top position. So I just spread them out and I just move that card openly into that position. As I say, these are all the negative emotions. Now, here's what we're going to do. You're going to do an Elmsley count. Now, first of all, we do the Elmsley count slightly differently, and you'll see why in a second. But first of all, let me show you how the Elmsley count works. We looked at it before, counting 3 cards as 4. This is going to be using 4 cards as 4, the original use of the ghost count by Alex Elmsley, but we're going to be hiding that card in the 3rd position. So very, very briefly, you're going to hold the cards in your left hand, and your forefinger is here. That's important, okay? Now your thumb pushes that card across. This hand's really going to do all the moving. The right hand comes in and grips this block here, but the left hand's going to do everything. So you push with your thumb, you grab the block with your right hand, and your left hand comes away and takes the first card. As it's taking it away, you push with your thumb over and you push 2 cards, as you can see. Now all that's going to happen, I'll elevate this so you can see from the front. This card goes underneath and is retaken by the right hand as the left hand takes the double. Okay, so as the left hand takes those 2 cards that it's pushed over, this card gets pulled back. Now it's really important. I see a lot of people telegraphing the Elmsley count by doing this. You don't want to do that. Notice these fingers don't move. You just do that, and you do that, and that's 2. And then you count the 3rd one and the 4th one. And it hides the Elmsley count. It hides the grateful card in a very deceptive way. Now that's how the Elmsley count works in full speed, like that, 1, 2, 3, 4. The tempo is very important. You want to go 1, 2. You can go fast, 1, 2, 3, 4, or you can go slowly, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's totally up to you, as long as the tempo is correct. Now we're going to do it slightly differently here, because we don't want people to realise there's 2 outrage cards. And the problem with doing the Elmsley count is they're going to see outrage at the beginning and they're going to see outrage at the end. Whatever's on the face when you do the Elmsley count, they're going to see that again. So to hide that, you turn the packet over towards yourself, and your thumb covers up whatever the emotion is. My thumb is covering up that emotion. So I'm not holding it like this so they can see quitting. I turn it towards myself. If I turn it away, they're going to see the word. Turn it towards myself, and my thumb goes here, and I kind of wrist kill slightly, so they can see that's the negative emotion, but I wrist kill slightly. Now I'm going to do the Elmsley count, but I'm taking that card away. I'm still hiding what that emotion is on there because my thumb is covering it up, and I do the Elmsley count. As soon as I take the second card, I allow them to see what the emotions are. So in full speed, it looks like this. You go, right, okay, so I've got these 4 positive emotion, negative emotion cards. So you're hiding the fact that you're seeing one card twice, okay? Now you're going to turn the packet over, and you could just put this card down to the table, but I like to throw a double lift in there. Now doing a double lift off a small packet is very easy. You don't have to get a break if you don't want to. You can literally hold the packet like this. Your thumb can do a push off of 3 cards, and then your forefinger can push against the bottom of those 3 cards, holding one back as you take a double. So it's a really nice technique of pushing over a double without actually having to get a break. You just push over 3 cards, the forefinger goes here in the corner of the 3 card block, and then you push your forefinger up against the triple like that, and then you keep pushing with the thumb so that that triple stays there, that bottom card of the triple stays there, and you're left with just a double in full speed. It looks very, very deceptive. Now, if you don't want to do that, you could get a break underneath the top 2 cards and just do a double. It's totally up to you. But you turn over and you say, we're going to take one of these negative emotions. Now you turn the double over again and you say, I'm going to put it here with love. Now, the nice thing about these cards is I can spread them this way, and they're not going to see they're not going to see that this nervous is what I just dealt there, because when I spread them out like this, they're not seeing the emotion, they're just seeing the black and white pictures, which is really nice. Okay, so I can spread them out like this, and I can say these are the other 3 negative emotions. Now all I have to do is push this card into second from the top. I push it in, I tell them to think positive, and now I'm going to show that that card's gone. And I'm going to do it by turning the packet towards myself and doing that Elmsley count again, hiding the face card. So I'm going to do this, and they're going to see 4 negative emotions. And I come over here and turn this card over, and they see that now we've got 2 positive emotions here. This is a really strong moment, right? Really, really strong. Now, I'm going to, so you've done that. Now, you're going to do this again. So you've got 4 negative emotions apparently here, okay? In reality, the positive emotion's on top. So now you're going to do another double lift and say, let's do this again. Let's take another negative emotion. And you're going to deal that down to the table, and you can spread here and show these 3 very cleanly. You're hiding that that's the same card because they're seeing the image and they're not seeing the writing. Now this card goes here, second from the top. You push it all the way in. You wait a second, you tell them to think positively, and then you turn this over towards yourself because you can hide this as you do the Elmsley count, showing 4 negative emotions, and then the next positive emotion has jumped over here. Now the last one is slightly different. It starts the same, so you can do a double lift again. So you turn over and you do a double lift to show nervous in this case, and you put that there, and you can spread these out and show these very cleanly without them seeing that that is the same card. The only difference is now, this really is a negative emotion. So you put this in here like this, and I have them hold it in between their hands. So the final time you have them think positively again, they're holding it in between their hands, you wait, you build up the magic. This is really strong, so don't rush this. And then when they turn these over and they see that all they've got here are negative emotions, it's a really strong moment. And then you just turn over this last card, they see that the positive emotion is over here, and you're left with them having the ability to examine everything. So yeah, that is Peter Kane's Jazz Aces applied to the Evoke deck, and it's a great way. Now you can apply this to any ace assembly. You know, if you've got an ace assembly that you like and you want to use that ace assembly for this particular routine, there's absolutely no reason why you can't do that. But my personal favorite is Jazz Aces by Peter Kane. Let's move on. Now, a true classic of card magic is The Last Trick of Daley, and many years ago in a book called Carnicopia, John Carney published a version of The Last Trick of Daley, which was incredible, and I remember learning it when I first got into magic. I love that routine, and using it with the Evoke deck really works very, very well. So I'm going to perform this for you now with Nemid behind the camera, our cameraman. So Nem, I'm going to go through, and I want you to shout out 2 negative emotions that you'd like to maybe never feel. And so we've got anxiety, depressed, let's have a yuck, boredom, xenophobia, upset, hateful, rage. We got outrage, quitting, indecision, nervous. Vanity. Are there a couple there that you'd like?
Depressed and bored.
Depressed. No, who would like to be depressed and bored? True that. And 2 positive emotions. So shout them out if you like them. Grateful, sincerity, wonder, fearless, confidence.
Confident.
Oh, confident. That's a good one. Okay. Kindness. What else we got? Trust, zest, love.
We'll take zest.
Joyful, zest. Zest. Where did zest go? Went there. Okay, brilliant stuff. We're only going to use these 4. So here's what's interesting. We have 2 positive emotions and 2 negative emotions, right? Now I want to watch very, very carefully. The 2 positive emotions are zest and confidence, right? Now I want to watch, because if I take those 2 positive emotions and put them right at the bottom of the packet, that's kind of the equivalent of burying those positive emotions down in your mind. So you kind of, when you think negatively, that's kind of the equivalent of doing that, because all the negative thoughts are on top, all the positive thoughts are down at the bottom. But if you think positively, what will happen is those 2 positive emotions right there, zest and confident, they'll actually end up coming right to the top. Let me do that again for you. Look, I'm going to take those 2 positive emotions and put them right down at the bottom. We're going to put the positive emotions down at the bottom. We're going to put the negative emotions at the top. But all you have to do is think positive. And when you do, you can bring those 2 positive emotions, confidence and zest, to the top. And this is the concept. This is what thinking positive is all about. Because look, you wake up in the morning, you're not always thinking positive. You're thinking negative. Things have happened in your life. Things have happened with your at work or at school, or things have happened, and you go to bed and you wake up in the morning and you just feel a bit crap. That can happen to anybody. And it's very easy to get on a roll. And what I mean by that is it's very easy to think negative and think negative and think negative. But if you make the effort to think positive and you focus on things that make you feel happy, then what will happen is those positive emotions will always end up coming to the top every single time. It doesn't matter how many times you bury them down there, as long as you think positive, those positive emotions will always come to the top every single time. Let's try it one more time. I'm going to take that zest, I'm going to put it right there, and I'm going to take that other negative, positive emotion, confidence, and I'm going to put that right there. And then the 2 negative emotions go here, burying those positive emotions. All I have to do is think positive. And when I do, that will make me think positively, and the negative emotions will get pushed away, and I'll end up with good things happening to me, because that's what happens when you think positive. So that's an example of a way that you can actually present this. It's a really nice way of using the card. So let me just briefly go through how this works. So it's a wonderful handling of The Last Trick of Daley. So you take out the 4 cards and you have them pick out 2 positive and 2 negative emotions. And what you do is you put them together like this, so they can clearly see that the negatives are on top of the positives. And as I'm showing them, what I'm doing here, and it's very important that you see this, so let me show you. So the negative emotions are here at the bottom. So you've got they can see clearly the positive emotions are here, the negative emotions are here. You flip everything over, and as I spread and show them, I'm going to switch the positions of the two middle cards. So how I do this is, notice my right hand is back spreading the bottom card, my left hand is spreading over the top card, and as I'm talking, I bring those two middle cards together. My left thumb goes on top of the right hand card, my fingers go on the bottom of the left hand card, and as I separate, I switch the positions. It's a very simple thing to do, okay? So in full speed, you're here, you pick them up, you're talking, and they are switched. Now, once they've switched, you just put the right hand packet on top of the left hand packet, so it doesn't look like anything's happened. It still looks like the two positive emotions are on the top. Now, this is the move, and you can do this as many times as you want to. You're going to hold the packet in the left hand. Your left thumb is going to push a triple. You're pushing all of the cards above the bottom card. Your right hand is going to come over, thumb underneath, fingers on top, and you then grab that triple, turn it over end for end like this, and at the same time you're going to push with your thumb, so you end up seeing, you're pushing a double. So this ends up being a double. You're hiding that negative card, and all they see are two positive cards. It looks like this. Now, because you can't really tell that that is a positive card, I pinch the double here and I show this one briefly and then put them back together, okay? So in full speed, you push, you grab, you show two positive cards here. It's very deceptive because they are absolutely convinced at this point those are the two positive emotions, right? Now, all you're gonna do is turn those two over like that and take the both of them, spread them off, don't reverse count them, take them off like that, put them underneath, and now when you do it again, the two positives are going to be on top. You just push over a triple, take the triple and push a double as you turn over, and you can do that separation move to show that they're both positive, and that's a really strong moment. Look, you can do it over and over again. Take two cards, put them to the bottom, turn over and show they're both positive. Take two cards, put them to the bottom, do the move, and show they're both positive. You can do that as many times as you want to. And it's a really fun visual way of showing the power of positivity. And you can do that as many times as you want to, and at the end, when you've had enough and you want to do it one more time, you put the double over here, and you're still holding the single. That's a double. You've got the negative card behind it. You just turn over the double and you put that down either on the table or onto the spectator's hand. And then I take this other positive card here and I put it underneath the packet as I just move that slightly, because I've got to have a reason to put this back here. And the reason is I put this back here so I can move this over. Now they think that's the one positive card, that's actually a negative card. So all I'm going to do is take the next positive card and put that on top of it. I'm going to do that with a double lift off the bottom of the packet. So all I'm going to do is hold the cards like this, forefinger here, thumb here. Your thumb pushes over to the left and you grab the two cards here and you flip them over. So I'm flipping a double over like that. And I show the other positive card, flip that double over and deal it here. They think these are the two positive cards. The two positive cards are just here. This is the classic Doc Daley handling now. And I bring these over and I just touch them for a second, as you saw in the presentation. And when I talk about, burying down positive thoughts, thinking positively, I do that and I turn these over and show the two positive cards, and then I show that what's left in their hand are the two negative cards. And it's a great way of taking a packet trick and really kind of making it more than the sum of its parts by applying the Evoke deck. So this is a really fun routine to do, but we're going to move right on with another routine right now. Now on Peter Nardi's section, he put a routine. He used Paul Gordon's handling of the 10-card poker deal and applied it to the Evoke deck, and I think it's one of the best routines on the project, to be honest. Now, I wanted to point out that if you didn't want to do Paul Gordon's handling that Pete demonstrated, you can actually use something called the polarity principle. Now, I've seen this before, didn't realise it was called the polarity principle, but when I saw Giant Killer Robots, which is a trick by Penguin Magic, it's actually by Josh Birch. You should go check it out, it's great, especially if you're a kids entertainer. It's a kind of 10-card poker deal type thing, but with a killer robot. Very, very good. When I saw that, he used the same principle, and he referred to it as the polarity principle. So I'm really glad that I watched that, because I never knew where it was from. So it's called the polarity principle, and you can actually use this to do the 10-card poker deal without actually using the methodology that Pete went through. So I'm going to go through that with you. Now, the advantage of using the polarity principle is you can use as many cards as you want to. It doesn't have to be 10, it could be 12, it could be 14. You could do the whole deck if you wanted to. But let's just say that we're going to use 12 cards, 6 positive and 6 negative. So you have the spectator go through and take out 6 negative emotions that they don't really want to feel. So they go through and they take out these 6. They take out upset, hateful, yuck, anxiety, depressed, and boredom. So we've got these 6 emotions. You then have them go through and take out 6 positive emotions that they want to feel more often. So they've got kindness, fearful, wonder, sincerity, love, and joyful. Now, this is what you do. You put the cards together. Doesn't matter if negatives are on positives or positives are in negatives, makes no difference. And you start off by saying, I'm just going to mix these up. And you have to give them a very, Josh describes it as the easiest Pharaoh shuffle in the world, and it really is. You're just going to push over the cards and separate where the positives and negatives meet. Now, you could just push 6 cards in this example, because we know there's 6 and 6. Or, because the corner of the cards has a plus or a minus, you can just look for when the first minus is, which is there. Either way. And all you're going to do is deal 1 for the left and 1 for the right hand packet. So you're just going to mix them up like this. And all that's going to do is that's just going to alternate the positive and the negative emotions. So now we're just going to have positive, negative all the way through. Now, once you've done that, you can give the cards a mix-up, as long as you use a Charlier shuffle. So at that point, you can do a Charlier shuffle, which I've already explained on the project, top to bottom, bottom to top, and you can mix them up a little bit more. And now the audience should be convinced that these cards are really, really mixed. The beautiful thing is, this is now set for the polarity principle. Because they're alternating positive, negative, it doesn't matter how many cards are here. We've got 12, it could be 10, it could be 8, it could be 14. Doing the Charlier shuffle is effectively just cutting the pack. And it doesn't matter how many times you cut, you're always going to have positive and negative. Now, the presentation for this is you're going to take a card, and they're going to take a card. And you're going to go first, then they're going to take a card. Their job is to really focus positively and try and get all of the positive emotions. So all you're going to do is you're going to spread the cards out on the table like this, right? And because of how the cards are set up, there's always going to be 1 negative at one end and 1 positive at the other end, but you're never going to know which one's which without the marking. So I know that this is negative, this is a negative emotion, and this is a positive emotion over here, as you can see, right? And it doesn't matter how many times I cut, there's always going to be a negative and a positive emotion at either end. So once you've mixed up the cards like this, you say to the audience, right, we're going to play a little game, and I'm going to try and lose. I want you to try and win, because this isn't a game where you win money. This is a game about emotions, and this is a game about thinking positive. I'm going to try and think negative. I want you to think positive, and I want you to think positive and make choices. I'll think negative and make choices, and we'll see if we can separate the positive and the negative emotions. So now you have them cut the cards anywhere they want. So it makes no difference where they cut, and then you spread and you say, I'll go first, and all you're going to do is take the negative emotion for yourself. This is a negative emotion. Now, by taking this negative emotion, there's going to be a positive on either end. So you then say, pick either end, that one or that one. It's up to you. Remember, think positively. It doesn't matter which one they take, they're always going to end up with a positive emotion, because there's positive on both ends. So let's say they take that one, it makes no difference. Now you tell them to cut again. So they pick up the cards and they cut again, and you do the same thing. And so this time, again, I'm going to take the negative emotion, which leaves 2 positives. So it doesn't matter which end they go for, they're going to end up with a positive. Now you tell them to cut again, and you spread them out. And you say, look, I'll take one, then you take one. I'm thinking negative. I'm taking the negative emotion. You take whichever one you want to, but think positive. They have no choice. They only can possibly pick a positive emotion. Now, you cut again. And you do the same thing. They cut again, they take... And it feels really fair because they're doing all the cutting. They're taking whichever card they want to, but you're always taking that negative emotion first, which means it doesn't matter which card they go for, they're always going to end up with a positive emotion. And then they cut again. Doesn't matter where they cut. They can cut a couple of times if they want to. You're going to take the negative emotion, and that leaves 2 positives. It doesn't matter which one they go for, they're going to get a positive emotion. And then the last one, you just do this, and you just say, look, I'll go through them like this. Just say stop anytime you want to. And when they say stop, if you see a positive there, you just do this. You put the positive on their packet and the negative on there. If you see negative on top, you put the negative on yours and the positive on there. So you just go, hey, I'm going to go through. Just say stop anytime you want to. Stop right there. Are you sure? You positive? Do you want to go one more? They want to go one more. Okay, fantastic. Brilliant. Done. Now I was thinking negatively and you were thinking positively. Let's see how we did. Turn over the first cards. Oh, we did really well. Turn over the next cards. Turn over the next cards. And they're going to be absolutely blown away that they've picked out all of the positives and you've picked out all the negatives. Now, it's great use of the polarity principle. Very, very different approach to the plot to what Pete demonstrated in his section with the Paul Gordon 10-card poker deal. Because with that approach, you're telling them to think positive and you're telling them to push away the negatives. With this, it's kind of more of a game that you're playing with them, where you're going to think negative and they're going to think positive. And the ultimate kind of moral of this is, you know, if you think negatively, you're going to attract negative thoughts and negative emotions. If you think positively, you're going to attract positive thoughts and positive emotions. So I'm going to give you an example of this. We've got all these negative and all these positive emotions. I'm going to be the person that thinks negative. We always meet these people in life that think negative, right? And they always blame everybody else. It's never their fault. It's always somebody else. It's always negative thinking. You're not going to be that guy. You're going to be the person that thinks positive. You're going to be the person that goes through life expecting good things to happen to you because you're a good person. And we're going to see what happens if you genuinely try to be negative and positive, and I genuinely try to be negative. And then you do this whole thing and you end up separating the cards and you say, so there you go. You think negative, you're going to attract negative thoughts. You're going to attract negative emotions. You think positive, you're going to attract positive thoughts and positive emotions. It's up to you every day of your life which way you decide to go. It's up to you. But hopefully this has shown you that you really should think positively. So it's a really nice use of the polarity principle. It's super fun. It's completely self-working. So I hope you enjoy it. I think it's a really fun use of the Evoke deck. So I call this one Swindled, and I'm going to perform it to Nemid behind the camera, and then we'll talk about it. It's a really fun application of the deck. It doesn't really have anything emotive attached to it, but I wanted to include it because it's a great opener when you're doing routines with this deck. So I would literally start like this. So I'd say, Nemid, I've got a business card here, and there's something written on the other side. It's kind of like a prediction. I'm going to put that there. And I got this from a shop a little while ago. They're miniature motivational posters. And I've got images on there and quotes, and I've got emotions and so on and so forth. But in actual fact, what we're going to do is we're going to use these to see if I can control your actions, see if I can influence you. Because if I can influence you, then we might be able to try some other stuff. So I would then have Nemid cut the cards, and let's just say he cut there, and I would mark the cut. Or I put these here. So you say, right, Nemid, remember, I want you to remember here, this is my prediction. Now, a lot of the time when you see people making a prediction, they'll have it in their pocket and they'll take it out afterwards. I want you to remember that that has been placed here from the very, very beginning. Now, Nemeth, we're going to take, we'll take 6 cards from where you cut. And we won't use the rest of the cards, we're just going to use those 6, okay? Now, we have no idea what these cards are, but we're going to go one step further and we're going to change the order. So I want you to say deal or switch. If you say deal, I'm going to deal the top card on the table. If you say switch, I'm going to change the positions and just drop them on the table, okay? So deal or switch?
Deal.
And again?
Deal.
And again?
Switch.
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 That's what switch. Okay, now we'll do it again. We'll do it again. Do you want deal or switch?
Switch.
Okay, and again?
Deal. Switch.
Deal. And notice, every time you do it, they're like changing stuff around. So you can see that this time we've changed a couple of them. Now, we could do this over and over and over again as long as you want to, or we can keep them as they are. It's completely up to you.
It's fine.
Okay. Now, I want you to remember that I put this prediction here, and I actually wrote down emotions. And I actually wrote down 6 emotions. I wrote down love, I wrote down hatred, wrote down zest, joyful, nervous, and wonder. Now those are emotions that are in these cards. There's like 30 other cards here, and there's different emotions. And we mixed them up, and then you decided on 6 cards randomly out of there, and then you changed them into an order that no one could have predicted. The crazy thing is, the first card I put down was love, and this is love. The second one was hateful, and this is hateful. The third was zest, and this is zest. The fourth was joyful, and this is joyful. The next was nervous, and this is nervous. And the last one was wonder, and this is wonder. And I was able to predict every decision that you made. So it's a super fun application of the Swindled switch by Paul Curry and a very simple crosscut force. Now, I'm doing this with 6 random emotions, but if you want to, you could do this with the cards in stack, and you could just write down the 6 emotions that are the first 6 emotions in the stack, which are anxiety, boredom, confident, depressed, ecstatic, and fearless. You could do that if you wanted to. It's completely up to you. But I do like doing this from a shuffle pack, which is why I've got it this way. Now, all you're going to do is you're just going to make sure that the 6 cards that you're predicting are on top. That's all you're going to do. You're going to make sure that the 6 cards you predicted are on top. So obviously, if you're using a stack, if you're using this from the stacked Evoke deck, you would just use the 6 cards that would appear on top. Now, I have actually shown this to magicians before, and when they're using a stack, they've said, well, is it a bit obvious that the cards are coming out in alphabetical order? And I've said, no, absolutely not. But if that's something that concerns you and you still want to use the stack, you could just cut the bottom 3 cards of the deck to the top before you go into this. So then it wouldn't come out in alphabetical order. It would be xenophobia, yuck, zest, anxiety, boredom, confidence. So you could do that if you wanted to. It's completely up to you. I'm using it with a shuffled deck. So you put the, you have the prediction in your pocket. I put it down at the beginning, but typically I'd have it in my pocket. And the nice thing about using a shuffled deck is you can give the cards a shuffle. And I just had the cards towards the audience, and I just did an overhand shuffle. And when I had about 7 or 8 cards left, I put them to the back. So I'm keeping those top 6 cards in position on top of the deck. Now, I then do a crosscut force. So I have them cut the cards anywhere they want to, and I drop that on top at an angle. And then I bring out this. I bring out my prediction. But without showing it. And the reason I bring out my prediction now is I need some time misdirection. The crosscut force is an amazing force, but I need a bit of time misdirection. I can't just have them cut and immediately say that's your card. So the time misdirection is talking about the prediction, and you put it down on the table. Now, once you've done that, you then take the cards that have been cut to, and you put them down there. And you could use more than 6 emotions if you want to. Obviously, it's up to you. I just find 6 for me is the sweet spot. You put the rest of the cards away. Now you're going to use Paul Curry's Swindle switch. Now, the Swindle switch, the first time I saw this move, I was like, there's absolutely no way this could possibly work. And it does. It works brilliantly, but you just have to try it to see. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to say to the audience, I'm going to ask you to deal or split. If you deal, I want you to deal one card on the table. If you split, I want you to change the positions and then drop them to the table. Now here's what's interesting. What's interesting is that doesn't actually change the order. So all that does, if you think about it, if I dealt through all of these cards, you would do that. If I did a switch, I'm just doing basically the same thing. I'm doing the equivalent of dealing the cards on the table. So when they do deal, switch, it makes no difference. It doesn't change anything. It just reverses the order of the cards. Now, I use a small subtlety that I first saw Dan Harlan use on a Penguin project that he credited to the Jerks, Andy the Jerks on thejerks.com. And it's a small wrinkle to the Swindled switch that just makes it even more deceptive. So every time you deal, because normally the Swindled switch is done by dealing the cards into a pile. But what the Jerk said is if you do the Swindled switch, but as you do the switch, and you change the position of these cards, you leave them in an in-jogged out-dog state and put them on top like that. Because what that does then is you can point out all the positions where the cards have been switched around. So you can say, look, deal or switch, switch, okay, deal or switch, deal or switch, switch, deal or switch, deal. You can say, look, you've changed the positions of all of these. Now, I do it twice, and then I give people a chance to do it as many times as they want to. I say, look, it's completely up to you. You can do it as many times as you want to. When you say stop, we'll stop. Because it makes no difference where they stop. Because either these are going to be in the correct order or they're going to be in a reversed order. And I'm going to know this by the marks. Because I know that my first card is love and my last card is wonder. So if I look at the marks and I see love here, which is what I see, and they've said, no, I don't want to do it anymore, the final revelation is just to turn this card over and then just say love, hateful, zest, joyful, nervous, wonder. But if they've done it one more time, and I look at the cards and I see wonder, I know that I have to turn the cards over like this, and I say, let's look at my prediction. Love, love, hateful, hateful, zest, zest, joyful, joyful, nervous, nervous, wonder, wonder. So they can do it as many times as you want to, and you're either just dealing from the face or you're dealing from the top, depending on when they decide to stop. Either way, it's a really fun routine to do, and it feels impossible. Now, if you've never tried the Swindled switch before, please give it a go, because you're not going to believe how deceptive it is and how much it messes people up until you've tried it. But used with the Evoke deck, it's really strong. So that is Swindled, and now we're going to move on with another routine. Okay, so I'm going to show you a really fun routine that's from a shuffled deck that demonstrates the power of positivity, and I'm going to get Nem from behind the camera to help me. So Nem, I'm going to take out, you would have shuffled these cards, and when you've shuffled them, I'm going to reach through and I'm going to take out certain cards. Is that all right? I'm going to take out 10 cards altogether. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I think I'll go for those. Let me just, actually, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, you know what? I'm going to take these two out. I'm going to add these two in. Yes, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I've got 10 cards. We're going to try and experiment in positive thinking, if that's all right with you, Nemeth. And how we're going to do it is I'm going to take these 10 cards, and I'm going to give you 5 cards, and I'm going to keep 5 cards myself, and we're not going to look at them at all. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 for you, 5 for me. Now, take these 5 cards, he's behind the camera, I'm going to pass them to him. Do not look at the cards. I'm going to take my 5 and put them under the table so I can't see them. Now, take them away and mix them up. So behind your back, give them a mix up behind your back. Very good. And then what I want you to do, I'm mixing mine up under the table, you're mixing yours up behind your back. When you're happy, take any one of them without looking and put it on the table and hold on to those other 4, and I'll do the same thing. So this is Nemeth's, this is mine. Now, we're going to switch cards, Nemeth. I'm going to give you mine, and I want you to take it behind your back and put it face up in the face down card. So put it into the middle face up. I'll take your card under the table and I'll put yours face up in the middle of mine that are face down. And then when you've done that, bring them out. Now I said that this was a demonstration in thinking positively. Let's just recap for a minute. You had your cards, I had my cards. You mixed yours up, I mixed mine up. You took any card out of your packet, I took any card out of my packet, we switched them. And then we turn them over in our packs. Here's the thing, this is the importance of thinking positively. Hopefully you were thinking positively when you did that, because look, if I spread through, the card that I gave you is one of those positive cards, joyful. Remember I said that there's positive and negative emotions, and the positive ones are coloured? Look, there you go, look, joyful, positive emotion. And let's look at the one that you gave me that I turned over in my pack, grateful. Look at that, another positive emotion. That's the power of thinking positively. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, they're all positive emotions, but they're not. All of these are negative emotions, every single one of them, and the only two positive emotions are the two that you and I picked out together. That's the power of positivity. Now, this trick is super self-working, and you can learn it in a couple of seconds. All you're going to do, when they've shuffled the cards, is go through without them looking, and you're going to take out 10 cards and act like you're kind of really trying to think about what cards to take. All you're going to do is take 8 negative cards and 2 colourful cards, 2 positives, 8 negative. And I go for joyful and grateful because some of the positive cards, even though they're positive, like this one, confident, it is a colour picture. But, you know, at first glance, you might think it's black and white. So I go for the really colourful pictures. And all I'm going to do, I don't let them see any cards, and I just make sure that the 2 positives go on top of the 8 negatives. Now, all I'm going to do is shuffle, and I say, look, I'll give them a quick mix-up. And all I'm going to do to shuffle is I'm going to shuffle those 2 positives off the top to the bottom. So I just pull off 1, I pull off 2, and I just shuffle on top. So I say, look, I'll give them a quick shuffle. And now we're going to try and experiment in positivity. I want you to think positive all the time while you're doing this little experiment for me. So because the 2 positives are at the bottom, when I deal 5 cards to Nemid, he's going to get the 5 negative cards. Now, it's really important that when you do this, they don't look at the cards at all. So I have them put them behind, if I'm doing this stand-up walk around, I have them put them behind their back. If they're sitting down, I have them put them under the table. So they take theirs and put them under the table. I take mine and put them under the table. And I demonstrate. I say, look, mix them up under the table again if you want to, then take any card and put it down in front of you. Now, all I'm doing is I'm pretending to mix up the cards, but I'm not really. And then when I say I'll take any card out and put it on the table, I'm taking one of my 2 bottom cards. Because remember, both the positive cards are at the bottom. So I just take a positive card and put it on the table. They have all got negative cards. So any card that they put on the table is going to be negative. And I say then, we're going to swap. You're going to take mine, I'm going to take yours. And I give you mine, and you turn it face up. They go behind their back or under the table, and they turn it face up and they put it face up in the middle. Now that's going to be positive because I've given them a positive card, so it has to be positive. And I say, I'm going to take your card and turn it over and put it in the middle of my packet, and they can't see what's happening because my hands are either behind my back or under the table, but all I do under the table or behind my back is I take the card they've given me, put it on top, take the bottom card, and I put that one in the middle turned over as well. So from their point of view, I've taken their card and turned it over in my packet. I've given them a card and they've turned it over in their packet. It all feels really fair. So now we just put the cards down in front of us, and I recap and I recap and I recap, and I go, I told you to think positively through that whole thing. I hope you did. Let's see. And I spread through, and because I got one of those really colourful images that pop immediately, they see a positive emotion. I go, look, you found a positive emotion. You gave me a positive emotion. Spread through yours. Look, you got a positive emotion as well. And I leave it there. And every single time you do this, they're going to go, well, they're all positive emotions. Because earlier on, I pointed out that this deck is full of positive and negative emotions. And I didn't let them see the cards I was taking out, so they didn't know. And I say, well, that's what everybody thinks, that you're taking out nothing but positive emotions. But the thing about thinking positively is a lot of the time, there's a lot of negatives you have to push away. And all the other cards are negative emotions. And I turn over all the other cards, and all the other cards are negative emotions. And the only 2 positive emotions were the ones that we found. It's a really fun trick. I learned this probably 3 months into getting into Magic. I learned this from a very old book. And it was using just it used 8 9 of hearts and 2 like king of spades, and it was just played as a coincidence trick. And I've seen people bring it out over the years. I know that a couple of years ago there was a version of this that got marketed through Murphy's called Mirror Eyes, which ended up with all of these cards having mirrors, and the 2 cards they picked out were 2 playing cards and all the others were mirrors, and it was all done with mirrors. But honestly, I think the best way of doing it is with this. Because when they see all of these cards are negative and those 2 cards are positive, it's a really strong way to end. And obviously you're left with just putting these cards back into the pack, and you're ready to go on with any other routine you want to go into. So it's a fun routine. Hope you enjoy it.